Thank you. Today I want to explore this idea of multiple forms of capital. Decades ago, one of my friends was volunteering with Mother Teresa in Calcutta, India. And one of these major donors walks into the place, checks everything out, and at the end says, "Can I take a photo with you?" Mother Teresa says, "Sure." Except the photo wasn't quite right. She says, "Can you move over just a little bit here?" Took another photo, took a third, took a fourth. At one point, they started to move her face to the right and to the back. My friend watching this was furious. This is her beloved mentor, a global icon of service. How can you treat her as an object? She didn't say anything until they all left. Then she approached Mother Teresa and she says, "Mother, why didn't you say anything?" And Mother Teresa responded in one sentence that would end up changing her life. She says, "My dear, there are many forms of poverty." What Mother Teresa saw in this financially affluent person was a certain kind of poverty of spirit, but she just didn't stop there. She responded to that with different forms of wealth. She responded to that with wealth of acceptance, of tolerance, of forgiveness, of kindness, of compassion. So what she teaches us through that anecdote is that yes, there are multiple forms of poverty, and there are also multiple forms of wealth. In our society today, we're too biased towards, we're too skewed in the direction of financial wealth. Wealth is equated to money. But there's actually many different forms of wealth, and money orientation hasn't quite worked out too well for us. If you look at this chart that came out, this is from a report that was just released last month by Oxfam. 62 people in the world own more financial wealth than the bottom 3.5 billion. That's more than half of the world's population. Not only that, this singular orientation towards money is actually doesn't encompass, money isn't designed for the full range of the human experience. Money is issued in the world as debt, and to pay off that debt, we need constant growth, which forces us over time to start to commoditize things that otherwise we would just do for the love of it. Give somebody a ride, cook a meal for somebody, have somebody crash on your couch. We now start to put price tags on everything. Not only that, it's actually not good for our minds and our hearts. It breeds this sense of scarcity. Research shows it's not good for our brain either. So how can we build a bigger pie? In other words, what are these other forms of capital that we can tap into? Nature is a form of capital. Knowledge with ideas leading to innovation is a form of capital. Technology is a form of capital. Culture is a form of capital. Compassion with kind acts is a form of capital. So if we start to look at this lens and broaden ourselves beyond the scope of money, we can really tilt the seesaw in a different direction, perhaps towards greater love. This is my friend and an inspiration, Reverend Heng Sure. He's a Buddhist monk. Now, he uses music as a tool for transformation. And so when he came out with a CD, he had a choice. You could, of course, put a price tag, or you could do something different. This is what he put on his website. He says, "Recipe for downloading the CD. Perform a priceless act of kindness. Write and submit a reflection of your experience. And check your email to download the album." He got hundreds of submissions. One of them was a woman in Poland. She says, "My priceless act of kindness was calling my mom. It happened to be Christmas Eve. Lights were out. Mom was sitting crying." She says, "Why, Mom?" She says, "Well, it's Christmas, and I didn't want my neighbors to know that I'm home all alone." Mom and Dad were divorced, and the local family was with the dad. Mom was alone. So this woman packed up her bags and ended up spending Christmas with her mom. Now, you offer a song to somebody, and you receive such an act of kindness. Truly priceless. So the question we're left with is, what forms of capital do you and I care about? I think if we broaden that lens, the possibilities are limitless. If we use our hearts to assume value everywhere, if we use our heads to wisely invest in the greatest of our capitals, if we use our hands to courageously design for the full spectrum of this wealth, we will create an entirely new set for a thriving humanity. May our hands, head, and heart continue to stay aligned in the direction of all forms of capital. Thank you.